You are listening to America's Best Shops podcast, a show created to inspire shop owners to achieve optimal success in their business. I'm your host, Brad Kilgore, best-selling author of the book Double Your Custom Shops Customers. I'm also the founder of Custom Shops Marketing, a leading digital marketing agency that works specifically with automotive, RV, and motorcycle shops. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, lessons they've learned, and how to find success in the industry. All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brad Kilgore with America's Best Shops. I'm on today with my good buddy Al Pridemore from Pride Auto Care. How you doing today, Al?
Good, Brad. Good. Beautiful day in Colorado after a partially cold weekend and a beautiful Sunday. We're kicking into a good week.
It looks beautiful. I mean, it's that time of year where it's just get a little bit of hot, a little bit of cool, a little bit of rain. Yeah. Works well.
Good stuff.
So I've known Al for several years. I met him and his younger brother through a business leads group. Oh gosh, I met Daryl probably close to 10 years ago, and then Al and I became friends. And it's just a real honor today to do a little chat about Pride Auto Care, because we have taken our vehicles there for several years, and I recommend them to people constantly because I know that I can trust them. So it's really cool to kind of dig a little deeper about the business today. So if you were to tell me kind of a little bit about Pride Auto Care, kind of how long you've been in business, how many employees, how many locations, and that kind of thing, that would be a cool way to start up.
You got it. Brad, we started as a small operation back in 1989. Two of the four brothers that eventually bought into the business started, my two youngest brothers, Vince and Dwight. It was part of a smaller chain of ASE-certified centers. They developed a relationship with Texaco corporate and wanted to build 50 stores around the country with a half convenience store and then large car care centers, 14 base centers. The brothers all came together, all four of us, bought ownership in that group, Great American Tire and Auto, back in the late 90s. Built 18 of 50 stores, and then Shell bought out the folks at Texaco, and Shell didn't want to do any more automotive centers. So we acquired the original two stores that we started with, my brothers and I, in 2005, and rebranded them Pride Auto Care. And we added our third store in 2008, our fourth operation, which was a transmission shop, and now is a full car care center focused on kind of diesel, Euro, electric hybrids. In 2012, we added a Longmont location here in Colorado in 2020, and then a location this summer, just 4 months ago, in Denver proper, and looking at a couple more properties now. We've got 53 employees total, okay. 6 locations, 5 operating shops.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, you guys have built quite the empire. I don't
know if I use the word empire, just a pretty good group of people fixing cars, I guess,
Sure. And so the markets you serve then obviously vary, because you have shops in the southeast part of Denver, Colorado area. Now you have them in the north. And so where they kind of spread around a little bit, where are you at?
We let's see, Longmont, Denver, Parker. We've got the transmission shop where my office is here in Parker. It's right across the parking lot from our general service shop, the original Pride Auto Care store. And we've combined those campuses. So there's basically 8 bay. We've got a 16 bay kind of monster here. And then the other ones, the original 2 stores were in Centennial, the Denver Tech Center here in South Metro Denver. And then southwest Denver is in the metro again, is Littleton is our other store.
Okay, so a lot of it's kind of in the south part of the
primarily in the south. That's kind of where we grew up. We moved here in the early 70s, and then started getting into cars and pumping gas and busting tires and doing all that good stuff back in the day with a small Exxon service center, and then just kind of grew out from there.
Yeah, you started at the base level effectively.
It literally doesn't get much lower than that. Yeah, but
sure.
God's been good to us. We've had some opportunities to expand and grow. We've got some great people that we've made part of our team along the way, and we're pretty happy with the way things are turning out.
Every time I go to your shop, sometimes it might be 6 months or a year before I'm there again, because obviously I live in an RV. But
Right.
It's amazing for me to see just the nuances, how it changes, how your staff grows, how your technology in your shop grows, how your whole operation and everything just it grows. It doesn't just grow, but it is refined. Yeah.
We've had to over the years. I think, and that's the challenge I think a lot of operators are up against out there. It's either you're going to have to kind of tool up and train up your employees to address the technology and the nuances of today's consumer. They're more discerning. They've got information right here in front of them. Some of it good, some of it maybe not so good. But it's a different world than where it was back in the late 80s. Let's put it that way.
100%.
You have to try to stay ahead of it. And a lot of it is training your technicians. We spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort developing our people, on both sides of the counter, educating the customer, but doing that because we're educated on their vehicles and what they need. And the technicians on the diagnostic side, because we do heavy line on down to oil changes, they've got to understand that as well and be comfortable with what they're doing. So we build a lot of training and leadership training into our day-to-day operations. I think you've got to have that. People got to feel like this is why what they do is important to them and why they do it.
Sure, makes perfect sense. So as far as kind of your target market or your ideal customer, how would you describe that?
We built our business around what we refer to now. Of course, we didn't call it this back in the day. They've gotten all fancy terms for everything, but it's a relationship model. And that's really just working with people. So I think the price shoppers, and I hate to use like the term Walmart shopper, because Walmart does good stuff too, but obviously at a different level of the shop services that they can provide. But we're not going to be the least expensive people out there. I can't afford to have the level of technicians and the certifications and the training and the degree of ability that these cats have. And they're amazing. I mean, we've got, I want to say 10 or 11 master techs between the 6 stores. There's at least 1 or 2 heavy line master techs at each shop, diagnostic techs. I want to say right now we're at 131 ASE certifications between all of our techs. We also have 2 world-class ASE technicians in our ranks, which means they've maximized all the ASE certifications, some of which they don't use. They just did it to get that title and to be at that amazing level, because we obviously don't work on school buses, but they're certified school buses too.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it has to be the customer that wants solid service, good service, will pay a little bit more for it because they're going to get the best of the best. They're going to get stuff that's comparable or better than anything a dealer can offer them. And I'm not picking on dealers. They have their place in the ecosystem of automotive service, but there's nothing that we can't do. 95% of the cars we see, we can address.
That's amazing. Very good. So let's switch gears a little bit, so to speak, and we're going to talk about marketing. And so first, we're going to talk a little bit more about traditional marketing, not necessarily internet marketing, but what type of marketing have you done or are currently doing that's the offline stuff? And then when I say that, that'd be networking, like your BNIs, your leads groups, your Chamber of Commerce, and that type of thing, and how that's gone for you.
Good. Yeah, we do a lot within the community. We do a lot of philanthropic work. We have our own memorial foundation that's very active in our community down here on the south end, that supports scholarships for high school students, both on the VOTEC and the college side. That's been, they've been 20 years in the making, and we've been involved with that group, I think 12 years now or 13 years. We do a leads group. I'm still active with our Colorado Association of Sales Helpers leads group, based out of the Tech Center, kind of South Central Metro. Just a lot of community activity, kind of offline stuff. We've been here, we've lived here for a long time, since the 70s. And we know a lot of people, you know, a lot of friends, a lot of family is here, and that extended network of people that we're familiar with, even within our own industry. You know, we're very active within our automotive groups, and that carries over into the retail market as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, part of what I think ties into a success of a shop of your caliber would be, you know, doing the offline stuff and the online stuff, you know, a mix of both. Because, you know, yeah, you're going to reach some people, you know, where you're face to face with them, you know them through family and through, you know, groups around town, and it pays off, you know. But then on the other side, obviously, you have to do the online stuff because that's a necessary evil at this point too.
Well, we're active with our chamber, our local chambers, and they've been fantastic. I mean, Parker Chamber down here, which handles a large portion of the southeast corner of the city. We're very active with the BBB here in the Colorado-Wyoming district, which they've kind of expanded to the whole Northwest, which goes up into the Pacific Northwest. I sat on the advisory council with the BBB for that region. And they've just, you know, it's just groups like that that keep you in touch, not only with the marketing in general, or just, you know, contacting the community in general, but it also keeps you abreast of what's going on out there outside of your own industry.
100%. Okay. So if you were to touch on some of the high points of what you do with internet marketing, tell me some of the things that you guys have utilized in that space.
We've got a provider that works with us on the SEO, SEM side. Search engine marketing has been huge. Pay-per-click. That's where people live and breathe for a lot of it. It's the old adage of, you know, spreading the good word about a company or community relations or whatever it might be, that we used to do word of mouth advertising. Well, it is today's word of mouth is Google reviews and online blogging and staying connected to your community, because people are connected to their phones and their laptops and their computers and tablets and so forth. So we've got to have a presence in there. We have a lot of paid social advertising that we work from through our provider, but we also do a lot organically. My niece is also our marketing director, and she has a extensive background in retail advertising and marketing, and she is just a wizard in that. I handled it for a long time, but then too many balls in the air, too many ball caps to wear, and she took over kind of that piece of it. She does absolutely fantastic with it. But you've got to have an online presence, and there's numbers that my brother being our CFO, I've taken him each year new budgets for online advertising, and you know, he has that moment of just like, what are you talking about? How much are we spending? And realizing the impact. And we've actually seen it, Brad, where you can, I mean, based on what you spend and how and obviously we've been working this many, many years as far as fine tuning our SEO and our web presence. We can turn up the volume. You know, if we start hit a slow spot, you know, the seasonality, we're not this year. This is, 2022, and it's the land of craziness. Like I told you the other day, our biggest challenge is finding parking. And that literally is hazardous to our health because the places are jammed. And I think anybody worth their salt right now should be in that kind of predicament. People don't have cars to purchase. The availability is there. Used cars are not as available, and they're certainly priced higher than they probably need to be. And people are fixing their cars. Old stuff where we're saying, look, it's probably time to part company and have a good excuse to do so. And there's, well, this is paid for. Let's fix this thing. And it's hand over fist sometimes. But we know that we've still got to put our face in front of people with as many touch points as we can. Marketing gurus say 7 touch points. And I think a lot of that you capture through the online presence. And some of we're doing CTV and OTT, over the top TV ads now, and streaming that we started kind of in our north markets because we're not as prevalent up there. South end we are. And that's helped tremendously too. So we're fine tuning that piece of it, but you've got to be present because the big boys, the big regional players are in town, and they're not going away. They're right up the street here, and they're hammering you on the online stuff, SEM and SEO wise.
Sure. Well, like you said, the beauty of it is it's scalable, and B, it's trackable.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got to
know,
measure it to manage it for sure as best you can. And you've got a lot of analytics out there that really can allow you to dial down, and that kind of alluding to what I said earlier of really fine tuning this process so that we're not spending money with the shotgun effect, that we really kind of dial it into the target consumer, for the target items that we know they're looking for, and then go from there. And that's certainly better spent money maybe today than we used to do.
sure. I mean, in the old days, it was pay and spray. I mean, you just you put as much out there as you could, and you hoped it did well for you, but you really couldn't measure it.
Right. We still do some print, and we measure that. We've got, the old coupon codes. Of course, our SMS system is state of the art. It's the efficiencies and the numbers that we can do now through our shops. And really the customer service aspect of it is so much advanced over the last 4 or 5 years, even than what we had back in the day. And we thought we did a pretty good job then, but with the digital vehicle inspections, the DVIs, to be able to text and email, communicate with customers much more fluidly, along with our suppliers. We can run up an estimate very quickly and know that we're dealing with parts that are in town and available. We know the price, we've got the markup built in, we got the labor charts that are built into the system. Now we can get in front of the customer the right information, and then they have access to everything, including a plethora of pictures of their undercar, underhood, tires, that validate anything that we're asking them to spend money on the car for, or to set them up for future deferred services.
Yeah, I've experienced that with you guys, where you literally had photographs that were digitally sent to me of saying, okay, here's what this looks like. This is why we need to change your diff fluid, or this is why we need to do this, or whatever it is. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the customer, I think, to your point earlier about what are people looking for in the car, I think people in general, you're spending so much money on a vehicle today. When we were kids, you used to set your cold one on the other fender well under your hood, set your butt on one side and change your plugs. Well, that's not the case anymore. People want to know that you know what you're doing, that you're knowledgeable about their vehicle. We've got, we buy the databases every month with subscription services that we've had for eons, to be able to have that kind of data in front of us, so that we can educate the customer. Then when you put that kind of information back in their court and their record keeping, they feel more comfortable about what's going on with their car and certainly understand how to take care of it better.
Absolutely. Now, in that respect, what would you say you've kind of dialed back or gotten rid of as far as marketing efforts? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me would be kind of like Yellow Book, or the old phone books and that kind of stuff. But what else do you think?
It's the old Yellow Page has been gone for a while for sure, but we don't do as much print. I think people are kind of gotten away from it. And there's that ecological, environmental side of paper usage and that kind of thing, and we try to balance it out. There's several good local little magazines that we've been a part of for a long time, and they still, like I say, we track the ROI on that. We know it's still a viable option. People look forward to it and have been involved in it. But that's probably the biggie. I mean, some of the little one-off rags that we used to get involved in, little newspapers and stuff, we still work with the Colorado Community Media, which is the local neighborhood newspapers, community newspapers. We still do some with them, but we've really redirected kind of a surgical strike marketing wise through electronic, through digital media. I mean, that's what's in front of people. To pick up their phone, everything, their world is right there. It's just, you got to be there in front of them with the right message at the right time, with the right people that are looking for it. So that works out.
Yeah, true story. Okay, so what you mentioned SMS, but what other types of follow-ups are you doing, like with your existing customer base?
Loyalty wise, we're blessed. There's a lot of really good operators out there on the marketing side of things. We've got a great provider on the electronic side, but we also have a database management group, CRM, customer resource management, relationship management group that we use, that uploads all of our data from every customer every day. And we can send reminders out from oil changes to transmission fluid services. It also has captured something that was new for us, where we used to have to do it manually. We had to go back and look at the history while the customer's standing there and say, hey, last time you were in, we were talking about tires. We're going to take a look at those today or whatever. We can send them a deferred services notice with maybe a little coupon or a little stipend to incentivize that purchase or that service purchase or repair a little bit easier, puts it right in front of them. Hey, the last time you ran 3 weeks ago, we recommended brakes, let's get those on. Here's $25 off our brake service, whatever it might be. But just to capture that data of deferred services and be able to put that back in front of them has been hugely helpful. But for loyalty, it's like they say, it costs you 5 to 7 times more money to acquire a new customer versus just taking care of your loyal folks. Our loyalty number, let's see, we looked it up. Katie and I looked it up, I think month before last, and we were at between 70 and 79% our loyalty. In other words, our total 100% of our customer count, about 70+% are loyal customers. They're repeat customers.
Sure.
And that makes me feel good. Because people are going to leave, they move out of town, whatever happens, they're just not able to get to you anymore. But we've got a good loyalty following. So you want to capture that. And that database, it's emails, it's text, it's Christmas cards with great little, thank you for your business this past year, $50 coupons. I think we put in those that are pretty significant for our top guns, and all of those things have worked well for the loyalty side.
That's awesome. That's an incredible track record. You should be proud of that for sure.
Thank you.
So, absolutely. So, what services would you say are kind of the most profitable out there? Obviously, you guys offer a lot of services, but maybe if we're talking about folks listening that are shop owners or what have you, what are some of the more profitable services that you offer?
Hands down, preventive maintenance services, your fluid services, just basic maintenance from SERP belts to training fluid to brake fluid flushes. Those are the things that a lot of people generally customers don't understand. So you really want to walk them through why you want to do this at the intervals the manufacturers recommend, and understand that most of those intervals are generated under severe circumstances or severe duty, which is driving in the city. We'd stop and go, you're the smart one. You got an RV and get the heck out of Dodge. But the rest of it has to put up with the traffic here, and that stop and go constant. And then, what do we had? 65 days of 90-degree plus this year. That beats the dickens out of cars. People think cold does. Heat's certainly more aggressive in terms of deterioration on car parts. But really educating the customer around preventive maintenance, because your margin dollars are hugely there. I mean, you think about it, it doesn't take massive engineering to figure out I've got some fluid and I've got some time, some labor time, and you want a young person that understands, or a technician that understands how to do it correctly, and the right fluids, because that's a whole nother ball game these days. It used to be, you had three or four different oils and a couple different, differential fluids or training fluids. Now there's a whole array of them, and some of them are synthetic and exceedingly expensive. But that service is what preserves that life of that vehicle and the components in that vehicle, because you're spending 35, 45, 50,000 plus. I mean, I'm trying to buy a truck right now, and I realize that it's cost me, 4 times what my first home cost me 30 years ago. It's insane. So, I mean, you're driving a big rig, what the prices were 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. But it's educating customers around what they need, and then really, I say pushing, but making sure they get those things done, because I don't want them getting 3 years down the road. Hey, we bring our vehicle to your shop every time for every service, and yet here I have dirty brakes and brake fluid, and my brakes aren't working well. And you're telling me it's all jacked up because you didn't. You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's credibility for us to not, if we don't mention that or don't try to at least educate them around those kind of services. And those are by far and away your most profitable. I mean, you think about big jobs like transmissions or engines or rebuilds or timing belts and all these things. Those are good numbers, I mean, for a shop, but there's not a whole lot of margin in those, certainly not a regular level. So if you get your people really focused also in not just repairing the vehicle, but preventive maintenance, so they don't have as many breakdowns or as many issues with their vehicle, those are the money-making services, quite frankly.
Sure, it makes perfect sense.
Oh.
And I think people are open to it these days. And I was
Yes.
actually, I was actually in your shop most of the day yesterday because I had an auto repair needed. And it was very cool for me to hear your office staff, talk to the people. They would come over to the waiting room or the lounge, I guess you'd call it. And they
Right.
would sit there and they would talk to the person on a human level. Brad, here's the deal. This is the things that's wrong with your car that we need to fix immediately. But by the way, I want you to also know that here are 3 or 4 other maintenance things that you may not have to do today, but maybe consider on your next oil change. And it was so
Right.
personal, and the people were very receptive to it. And some of them are like, you know what, let's just get it all done today. And some people said, let's get the important things done today, but I'm going to definitely consider now that I know that I'll budget for those other things. So I really thought that was great.
Good. That's good to hear, certainly from a consumer side of things, because it does. Our industry has always kind of had a little bit of a black eye out there because you got people trying to oversell and they got to hit numbers and punch. Our focus is on people, period. The numbers will take care of themselves. And trust me, we had 2 new marks this past month in August. This is the first week of September, one of the second week of September. But the numbers will take care of themselves if you take care of people. And if you take care of their vehicle, I think they're going to come back because they know you care about them. And that kind of interaction is huge. And then you do the follow-up with the online, text reminder, email reminder, that kind of stuff, not to irritate them or bug them or, overload their inbox, but just occasionally you send those kind of things out. And we send thank yous out, after virtually every service. So you stay in front of people and keep them thinking about their vehicle, because nobody wants to go out and trash a $40,000 or $50,000 car, let alone a $15,000 or $25,000 car. I mean, we live within our budgets, and that's a way of helping them out to make sure they don't blow anything up.
Sure. Well, and I've experienced the part that you mentioned where I've had companies that I thought I could trust, and all of a sudden I could tell, in hindsight, that they were trying to hit a number and they were really pushing me to get something done that I probably didn't need to get done. And the pressure and the manipulation was unbelievable. I have, one I can think of in particular, and it was in Parker. And after that, I never did business with them again. I felt that I got ripped off. And fortunately, I found Pride Auto Care through your younger brother. And you guys have been my go-to ever since. And because the trust,
Absolutely. It's all about trust. That's the bottom line. And I think people trust when they understand, because it's not like the old days. Like I said, you can't lift your hood and understand what they're seeing, let alone understand the mechanics, the physical aspects of that vehicle. And there's guys right outside my door here is 8 bays. And I think today I think there was over 35 cars in the queue, but they may get through most of the day and not even have dirty hands. And I don't mean that in a weird way. It's just that there's a lot of computer, there's a lot of analysis, there's a lot of diagnostics. It doesn't include the old, we got to take this part out, put this part in. That's just the way vehicles are today. And the guy's got to be educated at that. And when you spend that kind of money, like I said, you don't want stuff slapstick thrown on your vehicle or trying to oversell you on things. There's plenty of work out there. You do it ethically and honestly, and just talk to people, you'll be fine. Trust me. It's worked for how many years been now, buddy? 33 years, 34 years.
Still working.
Still working. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I totally agree. So as we kind of wrap up, what would you say to a business owner that's maybe trying to take their company to the next level? They're maybe more of a startup, or they've only been around for a few years. What could you think of to kind of help them and maybe help with the learning curve and that kind of thing? Because obviously you have a lot of experience.
Thank you. I think the biggest thing is you have to start with the people, and you've heard me say that probably ad nauseum on this little thing here, but you've got to focus on them, whether it's leadership training, emotional intelligence training. There's a lot of good operators out there. We're involved with, I know folks involved with ATI and CTI. In fact, we use CTI on the tech side, Transformers on our side. We've been very, very happy with and been part of them for a long time. But getting engaged in that so that you kind of realize this is about the whole person, not just your knowledge of automotive. We've changed a lot and I think shop owners today are starting to realize the young people of today, whether it's millennials or X-Gens or whomever you want to talk about, they're not like us. It's not like the old days of just drive hard and bust them up and grind them up, pitch them out and get the next kid. They're not out there. Okay. You've got to have a development program within your organization that says, hey, I'm going to take you from an apprentice to a master tech. And we've done it multiple times. And it's fun to watch. I mean, it's insanely cool to watch these kids. That we just had the young, I think he's 20, I want to say he's 24 now, and he just hit Master Tech, and he started at 18.
Wow.
And started with us, and he's an amazing, talented kid that we just love. Gave him a big hug. We had our big company picnic, which was an absolute zoo. All of a sudden now we got over 100 people out there with the kids and everything. It was crazy. But you got to think about the people, really get your arms around them and take care of them, because they'll stay, generally speaking. You got to pay within the upper quartile, I think, but take care of their benefits. Work with them 50-50s where we pay on the benefits. We do a profit sharing with our people. That's a big piece of it, but getting people engaged and wanting to work, your customers feel that. They understand, this is real stuff. They can get yanked around anywhere else they go, but when they come to us, they know we're going to give them a fair shake on stuff. And I think that's important. On the leadership side, you got to develop the next generation. I mean, we've seen that over 30 years, and probably a lot of the people listening to that realize it's not the old school. I mean, you've got to really focus on people, and the young people today want that. They want time off. We reduced our hours. We took our weekends out. We got 5 days, 7 to 5, and our numbers have gone nothing but up. Our engagement from our guys and our morale has went through the roof because of that. We just did that a couple of years ago. We went to Monday through Friday only, I want to say 4 years ago, but that was a big deal. Now they get the weekends off. Most of the Saturday, it's different in other markets, I think, but most of our Saturday was leftover from Friday or early drop-offs from Monday, and they ended up picking up Monday or Tuesday anyway. So we didn't see a drop-off in that. And we had a few people that were unhappy with it because, I only got Saturdays, but we offer Uber, we offer rides, we have loaner cars, we can take care of them in their schedule and honor that. But that's really made a difference with the crews. And I think guys don't want to work to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night and not be able to see their kids' ball game.
Sure.
That's not acceptable in my mind. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I think that's great advice. I mean, like you say, you want to cater to your customers, obviously, and you do, but clearly by giving those extra caveats to your staff to say, okay, we're going to close at 5 now. We're not open until 7 anymore.
Right.
We're not doing all day Saturdays and all that. It gives them a chance to decompress, recharge, spend time with their families, and all of it. So
good
that's
stuff,
wonderful.
Man. We ain't here forever. You might as well enjoy the ride as best you can, right?
Yes, sir. So how could customers reach you, Al?
Our main number down here, I don't have our 1-800 number in front of us, but it's all over our website, just prideautocare.com. My email's in there. It's just Pridemore at prideautocare.com, just the way it sounds, Pridemore. But prideautocare.com will get you more information than you probably ever wanted. So.
Perfect. Yeah, I was on there yesterday, and actually there's some promotions on there, so that was helpful for me.
Yeah, we've got good seasonal coupons that we update all the time, and like I said, once you get on our loyalty list, or get on as a repeat customer, you're getting stuff put in front of you on a regular basis to kind of help with the budget and taking care of your vehicle going down the road.
Absolutely. Well, Al, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
I appreciate it, brother. Good job out there. This is a neat program. I've looked into your website and things you got out there. Right now, we're huge supporters, and we actually are part of Transformers. Like I said, that we've got multi-store owners across the country that are involved, and then single store operators that are involved in the Transformers University or Transformers Institute group. It's all about the independents, the mom and pop. So we started out mom and pop. We're still mom and pop with a couple more kids, I guess, but the independence out there is where it's at in a small business.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being on America's Best Shops, and we'll wrap up for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
All right. Thanks.